Howdy, it's Dinky.Minus here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Mouthwashing fandom. Fair warning, this video will contain mentions of Jimmy, SA, and suicide. You've been warned. And also sorry, but I'm currently not going to be talking about the actual game itself for the time being. This video will also contain spoilers, so click off if you don't want that. Otherwise, enjoy! The Mouthwashing fandom actually is not the worst fandom. In fact, it's not even close, to be honest, as someone who is in it, somewhat. But I will admit, like any fandom, there's a bad side to it. And I will be talking about the bad side in multiple sections, so get ready for that. Now, this isn't as common now, but when the game first came out, along with the fandom, a surprising amount of people somehow didn't pick up on the fact that Anya got assaulted by Jimmy. Which is a bit silly to me considering they hint at it very clearly throughout the whole game. But that's not so bad, so we'll move on to the more concerning parts. Daisuke is the youngest out of the characters, and Daisuke does have some behaviors that would be considered quote-unquote childish, such as him owning a Game Boy and his inexperience/naivety that's shown off in the game. That still doesn't change the fact that he's a young adult though. Keyword, adult. Yet people, specifically on the TikTok and Twitter side of the fandom, seem to think that he should act like a baby, and that they should treat him as such. It's honestly such strange behavior. Now, just in case anyone doesn't know, AU stands for Alternate Universe. Now, a certain part of the fandom decided that instead of having normal AUs, like, I don't know, Jimmy not existing, or literally anything that's not genuinely concerning, they choose to make AUs about things such as lobotomizing characters. No, I am not kidding. I am all for AUs, don't get me wrong, but I feel like some things should just be kept to yourself at that point. Especially since, at least from what I saw, they borderline, fetishize it, which is really weird. Like almost every other fandom out there, the Mouthwashing fandom, sadly, has a lot of unnecessary shipping. As someone who knows the game very well, I feel the shipping shouldn't be there, especially since none of the ships are good by any means, aside from maybe Anya and Curly, but even that ship has its problems. I have seen ships such as Curly x Jimmy and Jimmy x Anya. Luckily, I haven't seen any of Daisuke or Swansea yet. And those ships are so toxic it isn't even funny. Shipping a literal rapist with not only his victim, but his friend who was a victim of his manipulation too? That's genuinely so strange and concerning. Honestly, the only ship I can somewhat understand is Anya x Curly. They both were friends and both had a good relationship with each other. But at the same time, Curly didn't do anything about the situation with Jimmy, which I can kind of understand since Jimmy was his friend. And Curly also fell victim to Jimmy, but that still hurt Anya in a negative way, and even caused her suicide. Even if Curly didn't mean to, and only meant the best for everyone on the Tulpar, it still did cause Anya to die. Another thing that is wrong with the Mouthwashing fandom is the pretty privilege. This may sound completely irrelevant at first, but think about it. There are plenty of fans of Jimmy, specifically, who mainly only defend his actions and genuinely like him because he's quote-unquote conventionally attractive. Now, I personally completely disagree with this because I think your actions reflect your looks, but that's me personally. They also do this with Curly, which, while yes, his actions were not nearly as bad as Jimmy's, he still did do a bad thing, which just made him morally gray, but people are defending his actions because he's conventionally attractive. If you're gonna defend Curly's actions, at least give any other reason but him being conventionally attractive. Like, what? I have a feeling that if either of them looked like Swansea, everybody's opinions would be completely different on the matter. Just saying. Now, being a trend hopper is not inherently a bad thing. Do not get me wrong, don't twist my words please, because I do not have anything against, most trend hoppers. But a large majority of them don't take the time to actually research and understand the game, and they're only like getting into it for either the fandom or just the novelty of it. Like I said, I don't care if you get into a game when it's popular. That's not the problem. The problem is that people aren't actually legitimately getting into it and understanding the material. They're only getting into it just because it's popular and, oh, pretty art with a headlock edit or something, you know, stuff like that. Which, by the way, I feel the need to mention that Headlock by Imogen Heap is genuinely one of the best pieces of music I've ever heard. Like, I've been listening to it for like since 2017 and god, it's so good. I'm so happy it got popular. But anyways, that got off topic. Sorry. We'll get back on topic. Also, another bad thing about like the whole trend hopping thing is that the wrong people get a hold of the media. It could be either people just objectifying characters, infantilizing characters, dumbing down characters to like the absolute most basic form possible, to the point where it just completely screws up the characters, and honestly just the whole game itself. I don't know, people can have their interests, but if you're gonna have an interest, at least appreciate it. Also, a little nitpick that I have, which I don't know what point to put it under, but whenever an artist draws Jimmy, there's always at least someone in the comments that's like, oh, I'm sorry you had to draw Jimbo, or like, oh, I'm sorry you had to draw Giraffe Cake, or some crap like that. Like, can you appreciate the art, please? And I don't know why you're sorry. The artist chose to draw him. I know it's not necessarily a legitimate criticism per se, but it's kinda questionable. And like, honestly, I don't even mind the actual censoring of his name, because like, Jimmy is a horrible person. He deserves it. Like, he doesn't deserve any respect whatsoever. It's only until you start saying crap like that it gets a little stupid. Annoying even. Last point that I'm going to be bringing up is the problematic cosplays that I've seen revolving around the game. Well, more specifically, one. Of course, of all the characters that they decided to cosplay as, they chose to cosplay as Jimmy. And their younger brother cosplayed as Curly. Now, I normally wouldn't find such an issue with that, as that's not the problem here. But they decided to put in their video that if Curly was a girl, he would rape him too. I don't know where you would ever get this, let alone why you would even feel the need to say it, and especially with your younger sibling there, who also isn't even an adult yet. They are literally underage, and they feel the need to say that in a video with them? That is so gross. And while yes, I do know that they didn't say it to their younger sibling directly, they still did say it with them in the presence, and it was somewhat geared towards them, considering their sibling was dressed up as Curly, and that's who the remark was for. I'm just glad that the person who posted that is currently in therapy, but still, the fact that it even happened was really bad. Anyways, I am not trying to say that all of the mouthwashing fandom is bad, because it's really not. I should also mention that I am not trying to be the fun police by any means, but the fandom is genuinely problematic in a lot of ways. So I'm at least gonna try and bring light to at least some of it. I have some really close friends that are a part of the fandom, and they are not annoying by any means. Heck, even some people I meet online, like, they're not insufferable. It's just a shame that there's a portion of the fandom who's just really, really insufferable and really, really embarrassing to be associated with. But oh well. That's what comes with most fandoms anyways. That's all I wanted to talk about. There's probably more things that I haven't even touched on, but oh well. Anyways, before I end the video, I just want to show off this really neat fan art that my friends made of my character Dookie. Once they post, I'd recommend you guys go check them out. Anyways, enjoy the art, and bye! Also, going back to the Daisuke infantilization point, he's literally a gooner, bro!